I think one 2x4 ought to do it. Heavier than I thought. Yeah, that's right. Lift it up with your bad hand. Moron. We're back at the whiteboard where we basically started our R107 restoration project. So I've got a few things done, but I thought maybe, start off today's video and just kind of run through a brief list of items and just kind of see where we're at, especially since I can't do a whole lot right now. I just went through and said, well, let's come up with 10 things and just kind of see where we are. So again, if you are new to the channel, what we're doing right now is we're doing a mild, I guess you might say, restoration on a 73 Mercedes 450 SL. That's one of the early R107, 71 to 73. It had a decent amount of power, although this is a US version, it still has the low compression, about 8-to-1. The Euros cars had 8.8, I think, something like that. But anyway, we'll get into all that later on. So that leads us into number one, engine. We've already removed it. If you haven't seen that video, go check that out. We pulled the motor out and it is at the machine shop. It's been up there for about 2 weeks, I think. So maybe 3 now, I think, something like that. Actually, let's see. This was on the 8th. And it's been about 5 weeks at the machine shop now. Anyway, I knew that the engine would probably take 3 or 4 months to complete. So, and the heads are down there too. So I'll probably give them a jingle next week and see how they're coming. So anyway, when we get this 4.5 liter back, we may look into some very, very basic, performance improvements. What can we do with the timing? What can we do with the exhaust? Just simple things, like old school things. So anyway. Number 2, front suspension, completely removed. It is 95% clean. In other words, de-rusted and all that kind of stuff. We had it soda blasted downtown Birmingham. Very, very clean indeed. All it needs now is reassembly. So install the ball joints, put everything back on the car, put the subframe back on the car, put the springs in, put the control arms in, all that kind of stuff. So this is actually a lot of progress. Engine bay cleaning, I'm going to call that 70%. So in the last few videos, you've seen me de-rust the interior of the engine bay, although I haven't gotten around to the firewall yet. That's the reason why I marked it 70%. And we coated and sealed and protected the interior of the engine bay. Fender wells, I'm kind of working on that right now. I'm going to call that 10%. Basically, I've been cleaning them. I'm going to take care of any rust spots that are inside the fender wells. There's some areas of the fender wells where I'm going to apply the gel version of the Evaporust product. And, as a matter of fact, that's my timer. It's time to wash off some of the Evaporust from the driver's side fender well. Steering, we're going to call that 50% clean because there's a few things that I still need to degrease and all that kind of stuff. The steering gear being one of them and the tie rods. So it basically just needs reassembly. So this steering, we've come a long way. So in other words, it's all taken apart. I already have all the new parts. All I've got to do is put it together and put it on the car. Brakes, hadn't done anything with brakes. I'm not worried about brakes. Brakes is generally easy, although the big gorilla in the room, as far as I'm concerned, is the booster. Good luck finding one. Probably have to have mine refurbished, rebuilt, maybe send it off and have it redone. Anyway, if you guys know where I could get that done or where I can get a new one that doesn't cost $1 million, comment down below. Let me know. Drive line, drive shaft, center carrier bearings, flex discs, rear differential, all those things. Nothing's been done there. So yeah. This guy right here is going to be a whopper. Okay. So I just rolled ignition and fuel all into one category because you've got injectors, sensors, pumps, lines, regulators, modules, and a few other odds and ends that I haven't mentioned. All of these things that go into ignition and fuel, they'll either have to be replaced, or they'll have to be rebuilt, or take the ones I have, bench test them some kind of way, make sure they work properly, and then just reassemble and just keep using them. I took the ignition module apart recently. I just took the cover off and I looked inside. It looked brand spanking new. I mean, it looked perfect. It was amazing. So the ignition module might be okay. Maybe clean the cover a little bit and, plug it back up and keep using it. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, air conditioning, obviously zero, nothing there. Cooling system, zero, nothing there. So the radiator, I'm not sure. I'll either do one or two things. I'll either take it to a local shop and have it boiled out, leak tested, pressure tested, or just buy another one. These brass radiators, they look cool. In the long run, a modern aluminum radiator is just going to work so much better. So anyway, just my opinion, of course. Anyway, this is kind of where I'm at. This is where my brain is. There's a lot of other things that we could put on this list, clearly. And yeah, sorry about the glare from the light overhead. So anyway, you'll get over it. I'm still got this stupid pin in my thumb. I thought I was going to get it out last week, but it's delayed. It's going to be next week, this coming Monday. So we're going to get that out of there. Then we can start doing some more aggressive therapy and get my left hand back, so I can do some wrenching. I really can't do lots of wrenching right now. So anyway, all right. Well, since my timer went off, I reckon it's time to crawl up underneath the R107 and wash off the evaporust. So let's do that next. All right, there we go. Got that rust treatment up there and got it all rinsed off and all that kind of stuff. Didn't concentrate too much here. This is really, really solid. So I got in there with a little bit of the wire wheel and got a lot of that off there. So a lot of this was just solid rust, right? So I just wanted to get the majority of it off. If I tried to get every little thing out of it, if I'd have tried to get every little bit of rust out of it, I'd be here for a year. That's just not going to happen. So that's what the Pour 15 metal prep is for, and the Pour 15 rust covering paint. Anyway, that same goes for that area back up in there. I got a tremendous amount of rust out of that hole right there, and right in there as well. And debating on whether or not I really want to mess with that hole right there. It's a little bitty hole. I don't really want to get the welder up in there. I'm actually debating on cutting a little piece of sheet metal and JB welding it over the hole, because there's a factory hole right here. So what does it matter? Not a whole lot, not really. And you could just cover that up, and when I spray a new undercoating underneath here, you won't ever see it anyway. It just doesn't matter. So all right, there we are. We're all dried up and we're ready to get the Pour 15 metal prep into action here. So without the water on there, you can see that we got a lot of the rust out of there. So anyway, we're ready to go ahead and prep this up now. And we're going to wet this down for 10 or 15 minutes with the Pour 15 metal prep. And then we'll rinse it off with water, and we'll make sure we have a nice coating on there, and then we'll apply the Pour 15 rust preventative paint. All right, we're all dried out now. Got the nice white haze over all the bare metal and rust and everything. And she's ready, or at least this part of the fender well is ready for the Pour 15 rust preventative paint, not rust encapsulator, which I erroneously designated it as during the last video, because, well, rust encapsulator is an Eastwood product. Pour 15 calls their product rust preventative. So there you go. Anyway, made a mistake, correcting it now. Man, that's awful. God, just look at that carnage in there. Just take it in. Just get all up in there and just relish in the horror. All right, breaking the action. Why? Because, well, hey, who doesn't like to watch, folks work, right? Here at the old homestead, So yeah, I've been looking forward to this for a long time. This street right here is like rough as a cob. Just pretty bad. Really, really bad rough. So this is going to be quite nice. And there's the tarmac or asphalt layer right up the street there. So here in a little bit we ought to get us some new stuff right in front of the old shop here. So nice. I would put a thumbs up, but well, you know, you get it. Got the pin out this morning. How about that? That's that orange antiseptic stuff they put on you. So yeah, tomorrow morning we'll go to the therapy place and maybe the splint comes off and we'll get some new exercises. And hopefully by then the fog in my head will have been alleviated. Man, they're really laying it down. 1, 2, maybe 3 seconds a foot. That's pretty daggum fast. I didn't know they went that fast. All right, I've made an executive decision that I'm not going to let the body of this car distract me any longer. So I'm over here on the driver's side. Got some 415 over the bare metal here. This fender at some point is going to have to come off of the car. I didn't really want to do that, but yeah, it's going to have to come off. This fender is like 8 up right in here and up there. So it's going to have to be removed and repaired. But that's not going to happen with this escapade that I'm on right now, which involves the engine and the front suspension and steering. Mechanicals are going to come and they're going to take priority over that. So, as you know, it's like you have to learn where to cut off yourself, you know, when you're doing all of this. By the way, I graduated. How about that? No more splint. Had my stitches out, or actually had my pin out of my thumb. Still got a couple of stitches there. They're going to come out next Monday. Anyway, so got more mobility now. It's getting better day by day. Yes, the rust is going to be repaired. Yes, I'm going to take this fender off eventually, but not right now. I'm going to halt with the body stuff, and I'm going to coat these fenders and make sure they're, you know, tightened up, good to go, clean, coated, sealed. I got one rust hole in this fender here. Guess what? I'm not going to fix it. I'm going to cut a little piece of metal and I'm going to JB weld it over that hole. Yes, I'm doing that. Will it be permanent? Maybe, maybe not. But clearly all of this is going to be repaired, but that's going to be later. Engine, transmission, front suspension, steering, mechanicals. That comes first. That takes priority. I've been doing a lot of stuff off camera, cleaning up and everything. Got 415 everywhere. So I'm going to get some undercoating and coat these 2 fender wells and move on. I got too much stuff going on in my world right now to worry with this. I cannot blow this car apart and leave it in a million pieces to do a one-off, you know, showboat style restoration. That's simply not going to happen. I was watching Morsky Repair YouTube channel just recently, and he was ranting and raving about people doing restorations on cars, and the first thing they do is they take the entire vehicle and blow it apart, and then they can't handle it, you know, and then they just sell it as a project. So, and by golly, he's right. And I've blown this one apart as far as it's going to go right now. We're done blowing apart. Reassembly is where we're going to be concentrating on, okay? So as soon as I get these fender wells recoated, we're done with blowing apart. Sorry about the little rant, but I just came to the realization that I really needed to stop the direction that I was on. I'm going to paint this next and hopefully get this in the car pretty soon. And I've got the control arms done. I got the springs painted up. They're outside. Well, they're painted. They're not done. I got to install the ball joints next. All right, the undercoating has had time to dry. Nice dull matte finish. It's kind of a light brown color. The Duplicolor says it's black on the can, but that's a lot of BS. And then over here we have the drivers. Same story. Nice matte finish. Looks pretty good, if I say so myself. So hides a lot of sins, doesn't it? There's a little hole I told you I was going to fix. So yeah, look at that. Clearly it's not dry yet. Let's wipe that up there. Nobody will know. For right now, this fender well is done. We are calling that done. So yeah, so here we are. Subframe's been sitting over here just waiting for somebody to give it a nice coat of Duplicolor gloss black, and I think today is the day. Go for a good dust coat first. And I only have one can of paint left, and I think it's not going to be enough. So yeah, this is going to take a while. It's a very complicated piece of kit here, as the British are fond of saying. Lots of curves. So yeah. But when you're doing something complicated like this, best thing to do is just kind of dust coat it. Take your time. Don't try to go crazy with the coverage. You know, you're just going to give top coats something to stick to. That's what the first dust coat does for you. So that's what I'm going to do now. Probably end up with, well, it'll be at least 2 coats, but maybe even 3. And I'm probably going to run out of paint. So yeah. All right, there we go. We got 2 coats on basically this side of the subframe. Looking pretty good. Almost done with this one can, so I'll let that dry for a little while, flip her over. I'll have to go get another can and do the other side. But all in all, looking pretty doggone good. Looks like, well, a brand new subframe. How about that? All right, I should have known things were too good to be true. This Beck and Arnley upper ball joints seem to be working out just fine. Bolted on one of the replacements here. So this one upper control arm is completely reassembled and ready to go. Just need to do the other one. However, I got screwed on these lower ball joints. They're just not the right size. All right, non-cranial anal inverted me has determined the error of my ways and ordered the new and proper lower ball joints for this car, and I'm returning those smaller, earlier style units. So those will be in next week. Is what it is. Just ordered the wrong stuff. No big deal. It happens. So yeah, it's all good. All right, another little break in the action here. So guess what next week is? Talladega weekend, baby. Got the boys coming down, and got to disconnect my electricity here. Got a 50 amp connection here into the old IG here. So yeah, I think today we're gonna have to go get some diesel fuel. And man, that acorn tree is really dumping the nuts. Let me tell you what. Let's fire this thing up real quick and run up to Wally World and get some of that cheap diesel fuel. I'm going to clean this thing up. I forgot to turn on the chassis. 1, 2. Hold up. Oh, there we go. That's the basically the chassis underneath where the engine is, and this is the motor home. That's kind of the way that works. Some relays in the back of the motor home that activate the electrical system. Do the glow plug thing. Oh, got to turn our blower off. Wait to start. There we go. Fires right up. Good old 5.9 Cummins. Got a check engine light been coming on recently, the last few months. And that really doesn't concern me at all. Don't give a rat's ass. Just keep on shining, little buddy. Alright. We're going to let our air get up to the, it's about 70 psi on both ends. And that'll give us enough to get started. Our low air alarm will go off. And we'll go ahead and head on up to the fueling up station. Woo, man, this thing's kind of dirty. I hadn't run it in a few months. Windshield's kind of nasty. You really gotta, mind your P's and Q's when you dart down the traffic here, so gotta floor it. Just put it to the floor, baby. That's to the floor. There we go. But once she gets rolling, she does all right. So, all right, let's go get some diesel fuel. All right, we're just below half, so I think maybe 55. I don't think it'll take 60 gallons, but I'm going to guess 55. So we'll see how well we do. Now we're looking at basically $3.15 for diesel. It was $2.98 the other day, but I missed that opportunity. Kind of a shame. But while that's going on, we'll just walk around here and make sure we're not dripping any fluids, or make sure things are not falling off. Not the best looking old motorhome, but she gets down the road with reckless abandon, that's for sure. All right, the bank card won't let me put more than $100 in it, so I got to start over. So that's 31.756. All right, she just shut off 29.35, and the other one added up, that's about 60 gallons. So we called it about right. I thought it would be 55 to 60, but looks like it was 60 gallons. Well, I dare say we have plenty of fuel for a 3-day jaunt over to Talladega running our generators. All right, we're doing some mock-up here. Got these control arms loosely attached to the subframe, and cleaned up the spindles, and got some primer paint on them. I don't know if this is the left or right one, it doesn't really matter right now, but what I'm trying to do is figure out if I can compress the spring off the car and install this whole mess together before I bolt it to the vehicle, or maybe just put this on the vehicle, use a standard spring compressor, and do the installation that way. Because if you guys watched the previous video, the removal technique here is to take the bolts out of this part of the lower control arm, and then lower the back part of the lower control arm down with a jack and take the spring out that way. The installation process, I think, is the reverse, but that assumes the engine and transmission is installed in the engine, and you've got whatever that weight is. I don't know what that weight would be. Let's just say it's 500 pounds. Right, you know, so you're not going to put this in the car and install that spring the same way with a transmission jack underneath this and compressing that spring. You'll just flip the car up off the lift, so that won't be cool at all. Anyway, so I went down to the parts house and bought a standard coil spring compressor, that style right there. And I, over here on the bench, painstakingly kind of went through the process of positioning this thing just right so that it is central to the spring. It's not cockeyed off to one side. You know, you have to be careful with these. They work well, but you have to know what you're doing. I've used these quite a bit. Not saying I'm going to be successful. I'm saying there's a possibility. This seems to be a pretty good fit here. I'm not sure. So I've got like this much right here. You get it, right? That much play. That doesn't mean, oh, I can only go a half an inch, because you're compressing the whole thing. Anyway, so I have to understand how far I can compress this, and then compare that measurement against how much room I have in here between this perch and this up in here. Once you reinstall the rubber, there's a rubber cap that goes over the spring, so those two things may not match together. I don't know. I'm just kind of mocking up, seeing how things are going, but can't do anything yet until the lower ball joints, the correct lower ball joints, come in. They'll be in on Tuesday, so yeah. Anyway, that's what I got going on. Got the new bolts in, and that wasn't too bad at all, really. Highly recommend one of these guys right here. I think what do they call this? A spud wrench? I think that's what it's called. Anyway, it's just a big wrench here with a big spire on one end, and you poke it through a hole and you line things up. Man, these things are just handy. I think what they're used in like big construction, like when you build bridges and stuff, and you want to put two pieces of metal together that are really heavy, and there's a lot of holes, and you got to put a lot of bolts through them. You can pop that through the hole, and it'll just, by this tapered nature here, it will line the two holes up, and you can put a bolt through it. Anyway, real handy to have. I got two sizes. Carport Forge gave me those here a while back, and they've been very useful. All right, I think this is about as far as I can take this for today, because, well, I got to wait on ball joints. All right, we got our subframe positioned underneath the vehicle. I think I'm going to go ahead and just put it back in the car. I need to show some progress on this thing because I've been stagnated for the past month. So yeah, I'm ready to move forward. I am ready to move forward. Plus, if I find I can't get the coil springs in there, I can always take this thing back out. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to play it, but got to wait for the lower ball joints to come in anyway. We're going to use a conventional coil spring compressor, and we're going to try to do it that way. If none of that works, we'll have to wait for the engine and transmission to be installed and add extra weight and install the coil springs the way we remove them, which is kind of ass backwards, but whatever. One thing I have determined, or at least observed in the last week or so here, is the way this subframe mounts to the car is, to me, somewhat bizarre. So you have these little guys right here, right? And they slip in here, okay? And you have bolts that come up through here, and that bolt attaches to this. There's 4 of these, right? These little guys right here are what suspend the engine. Let's say the car is completely together. Everything bolts to this subframe. The engine and the engine mount sit right here on the subframe. The only other thing that holds the engine to the car, or that holds the subframe and engine into the car, is the shock absorbers. So you got these 4 bolts attached to these little bitty flimsy pieces of sheet metal, right? And then you got 2 shock absorbers on either side. And if you, let's say you jack the car up, let's say you jack the front of the car up, get both wheels off the ground, that is what is holding all of the weight of the engine and everything. These 4 bolts with these little guys right here and the 2 shock absorbers. To me, that's just amazing. How is that even possible? I don't know. You guys comment down below. Let me know if there's something I missed. You know, that just kind of blows my mind. So anyway, let me go ahead and lower this car and grab some bolts and the other hardware that's needed for these mounts, and let's get this thing bolted to the car. All right. Yep, just bang it into the car. All right, I'm going to have to put some blocks underneath the front end of the mount, I think. Yeah, I think 1 2x4 ought to do it. Heavier than I thought. Yeah, that's right. Lift it up with your bad hand, moron. So I think that little washer there, and that rubber thing right there, that kind of goes like that. We got to fit this up in there some kind of way. I should have done this before I moved it underneath the car, huh? All right, I'll be back in about an hour. All right, I wish I knew how this shit went back together. I think we'll start with this little guy right here. That goes in the bottom of the mount. Got that one figured out. I've been messing with this for a little while now because I didn't know what I was doing. Had everything on wrong. Had it on backwards. Then I realized what I was doing. I was like, holy cow! I look like an idiot. So these guys here. Well, that one over there, it's on the other side of the shop now. I'll just get another one out of the box. It'll be all right. These guys go in with that part down, right? Because there's a little recess there and a recess in there, and they fit together, and that just works. So, like that, okay? And this little clip right here goes on here some kind of way. Put it on there like that. These little spring-loaded doohickeys would force that down. I'm not sure which way it goes. Comment down below or scream into the computer monitor or whatever you're using to watch this. Let's see, that's got to go up inside the hole, I reckon. Let's see, if I put this in here first and then slide it around, what does that do? No, a functional second thumb would be great right about now. No, that must go in after you put this in. Try again. This is stupid. What kind of shit Mickey Mouse setup is this? I guess these clips are meant to hold that thing steady so you can put the bolts in there. I reckon that's right. Let's do a trial run here, see how well we do. It should hold it in place so you can screw it in there. All right, there you go. Only took me half an hour to do the first one. You put that little guy in there, then you put that clip around it to hold it in place, and then you put the rest of the stuff in there. All right, let me go do the other three, and hopefully that won't be such a monumental fiasco. All right, apparently I screwed this up. This guy right here is supposed to go up inside the subframe, this little section of the subframe. In between it and the mount. We're not taking it back out, so we're just gonna we're gonna squeeze it in there. We're gonna coax it into position. So I think maybe I can squeeze it in there. Let's give it a shot here. Yeah, there we go. All right, so now we can put this thing together. You have the rubber, this rubber bushing here, and this metal ring spacer washer, whatever you want to call it, with the cup going up like that, lock washer, bolt, and that should all play nice together. It's supposed to be 45 Newton meters with 33 foot-pounds. So let me flip those around on all four and tighten her up. I'll be right back. All right, I'm going for an even 30. There we go. All right, torque down. Let's move on. All right, there we go. Subframe installed. I got all those bolts tightened down to 30 foot-pounds, and we got that mounting kit for those mounts, well, squared away and figured out according to the service manual. So only thing we got left here is, well, a lot actually, but springs and spindles and all that kind of jazz. I gotta wait on the lower ball joints to arrive next week. So I just needed to get something done. I just needed to get some progress, and putting the subframe back in the car is, well, it makes me feel good. So yeah, let's move on. All right, the baby steps just keep on clicking by one. So yeah, I got the this one particular tie rod rebuilt basically, and it took a lot of effort to get the old ones out of there. That man, they were in there tight, man. I mean tight. So consequently, this particular tie rod is boogered up by the previous mechanics. So just got a basic flat black on there. I'm going to follow up with some gloss, I guess. I need to paint the clamps and all that jazz too. But got our new El Cheapo tie rod ends there from Rock Auto installed. And no, I didn't measure the original ones to mimic the exact length so that my tracking or my alignment would be spot on upon reassembly, because, well, it just doesn't matter a whole lot because the alignment wasn't that great to begin with. So yeah, it just doesn't matter. I mean, I'll eyeball it, and I got an alignment shop literally 2 miles from the house, so it's not a big deal. I'll just eyeball it and it'll be fine.
All right, welcome back. Change of plans. Yeah, we're going to do a kind of a side diversion here, folks. This is not a Mercedes, Cadillac, Corvette, Jeep, or any other kind of vehicle. This is an MD150T-2, otherwise known as a cheap Chinese scooter or moped, depending on your point of view, really. So, yeah. Been sick this week. Talladega was last weekend. Talladega, NASCAR race, that is. Talladega was it's all wrapped up. Another one in the bag. Quite a lively event, to be sure. I got back to the house and was lethargic, and I caught a bug, you know, virus or whatever. Woke up with a fever yesterday and felt like death. Went to the doctor, got some meds, and everything is, we're on the upswing now. This is good. How about that? Got the brace off, and I'm doing lots of hand exercises, regaining my strength. This muscle between the thumb and the forefinger was starting to atrophy. It was expected. It was kind of, and that's starting to strengthen up. And so here in another month, this hand ought to look and feel like this one again, you know, the right again. So I'm on the mend. So I've been away. I know I've been away nearly a month now. So I wanted to wrap this video up and get it out the door because, well, yeah, that's just the way things are in YouTube land. So the story on this thing here is, this belongs to Carport Forge. It was gifted to him by a friend where he lives in Nashville, and it was non-running. And before Talladega, Carport came down, and we got it running, and it was quite easy actually. It's got a little. If you know anything about little motorcycles that have vacuum, some of them have these. I know nothing about motorcycles. Don't ask me to fix a motorcycle. Okay, I had to learn all this. So it's got a vacuum fuel pump, which that's a thing apparently. I had to figure that out, and we figured out it wasn't drawing fuel. I was like, that's the oddest thing. So I asked AI. I AI'd the fuel pump, and he said, oh yeah, that's a vacuum fuel pump. I was like, oh, okay, and all the vacuum lines were cracked. So one thing led to another, and we got it running. And so it started to draw fuel. Fortunately, the carburetor, the fuel tank, the ignition system, all that stuff was good to go. So fired right up, and then we changed the oil, and everything was great. We put a new battery in it. That was the first thing we did, put a new battery in it. We're going to put it in Carport's pickup truck. We'll take it to Talladega. That's a great idea. We'll ride it around Talladega. That'd be great fun. We get over there, and let's go to get a gas cap. So we go to O'Reilly. They didn't have one. Then we went to another place across the street from O'Reilly, and we tried to see if they had a gas cap. And they're like, yeah, come on out. Let me see what you got there, buddy. You know, blah, blah, blah. And anyway, so we go, and then Carport, he lost the key. Just lost the key. And to get to the gas cap requires a key. We looked in the truck. We drove all the way back to my house. We looked here. We looked everywhere. Here, there, everywhere. There was no key. And he must have dropped it in Walmart when we went grocery shopping for the race. Amazon to the rescue. Who knew, and I didn't, that you could get parts for these cheap Chinese mopeds all day long on Amazon? I mean, you know, we got a ignition switch with new keys, and we got, what do we got here? Some of this stuff I'm not going to use. Here we go. This is for this guy right here. This is this little door that goes over the gas cap like that, right? So a switch for that. So they knew some dumbass is going to lose keys. And here's the thing for that. So I'm going to swap that out. Okay. I bought a cap, and I bought this kit, and it comes with a brake. Because to crank this thing, you got to activate the brake. And apparently, maybe the brake thing switches, maybe this. Got one of these too, but I don't need this. So that'll be, Carport can keep that. I bought another gas cap as well. This is just a generic one. The one that came in the kit, so I bought the kit, and the kit came with a gas cap that is locking. And you have to have the key for that, but that's doubly redundant. So, there we go. Right, so you have this. That's actually better because this is really chintzy. So I'll give him both caps, and he can decide which one he wants to use. Or he could double up and go, yes, this is going to be fantastic. Now we're going to put them both on here. So we're going to take this guy off, and we're going to put the new one on. This may not even work for this. Anyway, you get it. The replacement is not as well built as the original. Isn't that the case for everything? The original one has a little metal flange on it, and the new one has a plastic flange on it, and it may not work. It's not entirely the same dimensions either. That's too long, actually. I think we're going to dispense with that. That's just too much. Yeah, I'm going to have to make up my mind. I'll be back in a minute. All right, I think I've made the executive decision that it's not worth. This is a freebie, so we're going to leave this off. I think Carport will agree. We have a nice locking cap, and there's no reason for the cover now because the cap locks, and it'll be nice and easy. We won't have to deal with that. I think there will not be any argument there. Because it's not like you're going to ride around in the rain anyway, so it doesn't really matter. All right, so this is redundant. We don't need that. This cap was a cheapie. We don't need that. That'd be a spare. You can take that with him. That'd be a spare. This was the cap right here, this foil. So what's the rest of the story, you might add? So I got home from Talladega Sunday night, and everything was cool. Got home, parked the RV. The RV is parked in front of this door right here. You see, I don't know if you can tell from that door, but it's kind of bowed in. Yeah. So when I got home about 9 o'clock Sunday night, you know, a big Class A diesel pusher RV requires air brakes. Well, it has air brakes, right? There's a downward slope on the other side of this door into the shop, right? And so yeah, if you don't set the air brake, right, the way you drive a big truck is when you park it, you put it in neutral and you set the air brake. This is the way you do it. This is the way it's designed. If you don't do that, it'll roll. Well, guess what? I didn't do that. I didn't set the air brake. I just forgot. I was like, oh, I got to clean out the fridge. I got to unpack. I go do all these things, you know. I turned her off and I was going to unload the refrigerator. I got out of the driver's seat and I go walk back to the fridge, and all of a sudden, crash, boom, bang, the RV, just gently 26,000 pounds, was it 13? Yeah, 13 ton. Tried to ease on up into the shop. Crunch, squeak, great. Oh, it was awful. Anyway, this thing was parked right there. Knocked it over. This thing fell over. When we had put fuel in it, right? We put fuel in it a few days earlier, so it had plenty of gas. And yeah, all that gas hit the pavement in here in the floor. I'm wiped out. I am so tired by this time. So I saw what happened. I'm like, well, there goes about $1,500. I said, screw it. I'm going to clean out the refrigerator. I did that first. I was like, you know, it just shit happens. So I cleaned out the refrigerator. Came out here and I was done for the refrigerator. I came out here and I smelled gasoline. I put one and one together. I was like, oh, shit. Came up in here and there was fuel all up in this place. Well, a gallon and a half of it, or a gallon, however much is in there, you know. We shouldn't have parked it up in here with fuel in the tank. That was dumb. We just didn't think about it. Because it had no cap. Because it didn't come with a cap, because that's the way it came. It didn't have a cap. He got it free, unrunning, with no gas cap. So then I proceeded to extremely, very carefully and cautiously raise the door, the other door that worked, get the water hose out, and I hosed the floor down with water, and spent the next hour hosing the shop out. Had to pull the Cadillac out, and it was a mess. Oh my goodness, it was a mess. The last piece of the story, I'll put some photographs in the video. The last piece of the story is, and I'm not doing a whole lot because I don't feel very well. The last piece of the story here is that the RV, where the windshield, the middle part of the height of the windshield is halfway up on the top of the garage door. So as you can see, this shape here mimics the front of the motorhome, and again, you'll see in the photo here. But the top beam of the door, yeah, got to have a new windshield too. So Crushed it. Crunch. You talk about a hellacious mess. God, there's glass all on the dashboard and everything. It's a freaking nightmare. Anyway, it's been a hell of a week. Moped runs, though. Anyway, so yeah, I've got to pay the deductible on the... I usually don't do drama in my videos, but, you know, whatever. It'll be okay. I can handle it. Let's hook up the ground. Oh, yeah. Okay, so I forgot. Did I talk about the key yet? No, yeah, he forgot about the damn key. So I didn't even talk about that. He forgot the... So we get over to Talladega, and we're trying to repair this thing. We're trying to get a gas cap, right? And we pull up into this local parts house, and this cat is going to help us try to, you know, get a gas cap. Well, carport lost the key. And we're like, where's the damn key, man? We looked everywhere for the key. Anyway, so that was what led me to Amazon, buying a new ignition switch, new keys. I can't recall if I put that in the line of this at all or not. It doesn't really matter at this point. My brain is fried. So, and we get over there, and we get over to Talladega. We have the thing in the back of the truck, right? And we get over there, and we're trying to figure out, well, let's try to hotwire it and just ride it around. Okay, fine, let's do that. What happened was we ended up blowing a fuse. We checked the ground fuse, which is right inside the wire, right here. It was fine, and we're like, well, duh. Turns out this fuse over here, that we blew this one. We were trying to touch the wires on the ignition switch, on the old ignition switch, and just hotwire it, you know. Well, I was trying to show carport how to do that, and it was, you know, it's new and different. He's not, and it's fine. Some people don't know these things, and it's fine. And we touched a bunch of wires together. We were both at it together, and we blew this fuse here. And because we lost power, I'm like, oh crap! Now we have to troubleshoot that. Anyway, it's all good. It's all done. I've got a new garage door in the back of my pickup truck, and that's what I'm going to do this weekend. So I may make some video on that. I'll do that maybe. And I've got Safelite and Progressive working on the RV windshield for me. It'll be a couple of weeks because it's a specialty item. It's a split windshield. If you don't know anything about Class A RVs in general, about 05, 06, 07, right in that time frame is when they stopped using split windshields. You know, in cars they stopped using split windshields in the early 50s. Early to mid 50s. I believe that was a cutoff for the split windshield, because before that was all flat glass, right? But in the RV world, in the Class A's, they use split windshields. They're not flat, they are curved, but they're still split, because for whatever reason, they just couldn't mold one that was that big, I guess. Anyway, so in the mid 2000s, they went with a one-piece unit. So we're talking 20 years ago is the last one. I don't know when's the last time a new split windshield has been made. I may have to redirect them to Vizone RV. It's an RV salvage place. Anyway, Safelite and Progressive, they're working on it. So I'm just gonna. It's in their hands right now. So and again, I'll put some photos in the video. I tell you what, let's do right now. Let's fire this bitch up, and let's just hear it run, because it is a monster. Let me tell you what, buddy. Alrighty, got some fuel in there. I like that solution a lot better. I got to tidy this up. This has got a fairing on it. There's a lot of stuff that's not on here. When we get it back together, I'll show you. And when it fell over, some of the plastic broke. Sorry, buddy. I'll put some duct tape on it or something. I'll put a big Band-Aid on it and put Fixed by Impala Man's Garage on it. So yeah, that'll be all right. Okay, let's see if we can make this thing work. Batteries connected. Oh yeah, we put new fuel line in it, and we put that's real basic stuff. It's not a big deal. Let's try not to burn the place down, Harris. Key on. Got power, says the horn. Run. Activate brake. See there? You got brake light. Oh yeah, the hydraulic brake. So the back brake is manual. The front brake is hydraulic, and the hydraulic front brake is completely toast. It's been sitting up for 10 years, this thing. It's got about 4,000 miles on it, and the hydraulic brake on the front is just completely fried. It was locked up tight. We had to work very hard to get it. Had to take the caliper apart and beat it free, and it was a mess. But we got it anyway. It rolls now, so it's fine. So let's just do this thing. Here comes the gasoline. Come on, you can do it. There we go. There we go. There we go. I know nothing about this. It runs better than it did, actually. It's more quiet now. Why is that? It runs better now. Oh, shit! I thought the kickstand was up. Another accident! I suck at this. I don't know anything about motorcycles. Coming off high idle, I reckon. All right, I thought the main kickstand was activated. I was wrong. So yeah, I guess what I'm going to do now is put this thing back together. Put all this stuff here on the fairing. Put this back on. It seems to be running fine. Got blinkers. Blinkers are not working. The lights. Brake light. Yeah, this the front brake. It doesn't work. Why don't the blinkers work? It doesn't matter. I don't know why the blinkers don't work. Anyway, that's all she wrote for now. Runs good for a cheap Chinese piece of crap. Well, let's do this before we close this video out. All right, so before we close the video out, this is what we got. We got Lowe's Wayne Dalton 9x7 garage door, and we have RV windshield, cracked all to hell. Compressed, terrible condition. Yeah, and I'm in not too good a condition myself. All right, one last thing before we end the video. We got lower ball joints in for the Mercedes. However, I could not install them because I did not have the proper Mercedes-Benz lower ball joint installation tool. That'll be in Tuesday. Once that comes in, I will be able to reinstall the lower ball joints, get the spindles, the springs, and all that jazz, get some wheels back on this car, and in the next video, we might see our R107 rolling around on the pavement once again, albeit without a motor. You can't have everything in life, though, you know. I appreciate you guys stopping by the channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you'd like to be notified whenever I release a new video, even though it's been a month, don't forget to click that little bell down below. That's where it is. It's down below the video. Just click it, all right? It'll help the channel out a lot. So, all right, folks. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.